My dearest Kassar, by the time you get this, I will be gone. Before we set out for Scadrial, I wish to establish 2 new mining sites. In order to maintain our estates while we are away, I plan to reveal the other locations that I have found so that the company can continue to grow. I plan to be back within the month, and then we will depart. Our last conversation has been on my mind as of late. I feel that my inability to speak earlier was a disservice. I am not sure I can share everything I need to tell you. Perhaps, after you read these words, I will have mustered the courage necessary to share my innermost turmoils. A lot has happened to me on Scadrial, and I must admit, I am nervous at the realization that we will soon be returning to that place. I fear you will think less of me. I do not want to cast a shadow over us during this trip, but it is time I told you the truth. For years now, I have been in the service of a being known as Harmony, a man who took up the power of a god and saved my life. Harmony is a kind of god, much like the being of cultivation or Odium. In fact, these 3 are all fragments of a far older power that came before them. While each piece behaves differently and independently, the powers all came from Adonasium. Harmony is unique, as far as I know, because he is a more recent wielder of shardic power. More interestingly, he is the combination of 2 formerly separated and opposing powers. Ruin and Preservation were a shard pair that founded Scadrial. They worked together to create the life and humanity that lived on the planet. In the end, however, they were opposed to each other's intents, which inevitably led to a proverbial deadlock conflict. The planet and the people who lived there were nearly the casualties of this conflict, which was only resolved when the shard-bearer of Preservation purposefully ignored her intent and destroyed the mind of Ruin while destroying her own mind. The hero of ages, Preservation's great gamble, then reached out and took hold of both Ruin and Preservation. I was there that day, watching as the world burned and thousands died. Scadrial was already a brutal and desolate place, and during those final years it was little more than a husk too hostile to live on. Ash choked the ground and the sun baked the planet from above. It was a kind of desolation, orchestrated by Ruin as he sought to fulfill his driving purpose, to break down the Cosmere piece by piece. Even from the cognitive realm, the destruction was very real. I had resigned myself to my fate. And then there he was, like a pillar of light that enveloped the planet in an embrace. Harmony shaped the world, returning it to what it had once been. The land was molded and shaped like clay. The 3 realms seemed to melt together, and suddenly I was standing on a land unrecognizable. He was there with me through it all. Somehow he knew who I was and why I was there. Even though he was creating a new world, he had the time for me. Well, I imagine his existence was not bound by physical location, at least not as we understand it. When I left that world, I assumed that would be the end. Apparently, Harmony kept an eye on me, because when he wanted more information, they quickly sought me out. Harmony has servants who he uses to keep tabs on the world and to reach out to others. These are the Khandra, shapeshifters who take the form of men by using their bones. They are immortal, as far as I know, and can receive direct instruction from Harmony. In fact, the man who stopped at the mansion last year was one such being. That was when I received the call to return to Scadrial. I am not sure why Harmony contacted me to begin with, when he has servants who can spy on the rest of the Cosmere for him, but perhaps it has something to do with the nature of Harmony. It is easy to think that Harmony is simply both Preservation and Ruin, much like how I have a right arm and a left arm that are similar, yet opposites working together. But if my studies into the nature of shards is correct, then Harmony is actually something else. The shards are no longer separate powers, but one. They have blended into a new alloy to create something different. This means that Harmony has the abilities and understanding of both Ruin and Preservation, and yet has his own powers and influences. That are independent of the powers from which he is derived. He also is somewhat of a powerhouse, wielding twice as much raw power and energy as the other shards that have been documented. From here we can see the potential origin of the current conflict. Odium proved to be a vicious and heartless shard. Granted, the mind of the being who took up the shard must be practically obliterated by the intent of hatred. If you trace the macro events of the Cosmere, it becomes clear that Odium set his sights on dominating the Cosmere by eliminating those with power to challenge him. I would be surprised if Harmony is not the manifestation of everything Odium feared. Harmony is most likely the most powerful being in the Cosmere. It is not surprising to hear that things are not all well back on Scadrial. Before the Khandra found us on Malthus, I hadn't heard from them in years. Considering how often they'd been checking up on me until that point, I had started wondering if something had happened. Before we were contacted, I had already resigned myself to returning to Scadrial. It seems that something has changed, and Harmony is under some threat by an unknown power. Naturally, the Kandra are worried, and it turns out that I have the most experience out in the Cosmere with other shards that they know of. They have requested that I make my report and attempt to aid in their investigation. Considering what we just survived, I feel that we cannot ignore this plea. It is clear to me that the mishandled wielding of godly power can cause untold levels of death and destruction. It is infuriating to see the intelligent beings took up such power for themselves and then turned it against each other and the people on these worlds. Harmony is perhaps the best there is of the shard holders. His very nature is restraint and balance, and is the only power in the Cosmere I feel I can truly rely upon. Despite my growing mistrust of these shards, I will not abandon Scadrial to be destroyed yet again. The things I saw over the last years of old Scadrial left me scarred and broken. If my knowledge can help prevent that from happening again, well, it's worth the effort. Harmony is sure to be a focal point for what is to come. Given our potential limitless lifespans, I wonder if we will see the end of the shard holders. I am not sure what would be best for the Cosmere as a whole, but I am content to work with the servants of the one shard I feel we can trust. I will do my best to prepare you for our integration with the Scadrian people. Hopefully we can blend in a little better than I did on Roshar. Until we meet again, Elstrick. How's it going, guys? Thank you for once again joining me for Letters from the Cosmere. I want to take a quick moment and I want to talk to you about something really exciting that's coming up in the 4th quarter of this year. Me and a few other friends in the Cosmere community groups have decided to come together. We're going to try and put together an interesting event. We're going to call it our Cosmere community stream. Now, let me just bend your ear for a second. We've decided that we want to try and get together as a community and do something good, something productive, something that shows how much we care about, not just something like Brandon Sanderson's books, but about just other people. And I found the perfect charity for all of us. We're going to do a big charity drive for Open Books. Open Books is a fundraiser that focuses on providing reading experiences for the young and underprivileged, helping children and young adults foster a love of reading. Now, can you guys honestly say, look at our community. We are bound together by a love of books by Brandon Sanderson. And I guarantee you that we are all big fans of other books too. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to claim that books have changed our lives. Certainly have changed mine. The Dark-Eyed Musician and I got together and we started this idea, and it's slowly starting to spread like wildfire. And we're really excited to get started with all this, and I want to make sure that you can participate. So if you would like to become an active part of our entire group, we need people who are willing to do drawings, who can maybe make gifts that we can give away as prizes, or even as stretch goals, something that we can help boost and kind of get the community working together. If you have something you want to host, like if you want to talk about a subject and have like a little fireside or a podcast, or if you want to play a game, or if you want to participate in some of the other activities that are going on, I need you to email me right now. Let me know what you want to do. Let me know if you want to have more information. I can get that to you straight away. It's going to be something that I want to get as many people involved as possible. And if you aren't sure if you can do something like that, then just make a note of it. We're going to be doing some official announcements in the coming months, and we're going to be having we'll pick a day. It'll be a 24-hour live stream broadcasting on this YouTube channel, or a better one if we can find one. And then you can just come, you could be a participant, you can watch, you can laugh, you can question your sanity, all the great stuff. So just wanted to let you know, this is really becoming a thing. And I really want to make a shout out to Open Books. They're very transparent. It's very obvious what they're doing is helping fostering growth and love and learning and comprehension and reading. It's just all good things and stuff I really, really, really support. So thank you so much for listening to this. I hope it wasn't too convoluted. And until the next video you watch with me, or whatever you have to see me in next, I'll see you there.